Hi Graphcom, Mr. Young here. I'm going to run through a design principles and elements question with you just before you have a go at your own questions there that I've set out on the task sheet. This is actually the third time I'm recording this audio. Messed up the first time, I had the microphone on mute the second time, and now I'm going to try it for the third time. So let's see if this makes any more sense. This will be the first time you're hearing it, but I've heard it a few times already, so let's go. Typical magazine article here. We're looking at one that's on a magazine. You've got the article on the right hand side, and obviously the title here on the left. The questions are obviously make sure you're writing your answers in sentences when you're answering the questions, and just check out how much marks are worth. Obviously the first two are worth 2 marks each. So for white space, if you've not read up on some of the document, some of the theory books I've put out there, or sheets I've put out, or anything else that you've looked at yet on this, then please do so. But for answering this question, white space is used in a couple areas here. More predominantly, white space is used, you see them triangles as well. They're used to kind of give your eye a rest when you're looking at a document or magazine page, so that you're not always, your eyes aren't always busy reading things. And also they're used to make sure that the page looks uncluttered and neat, pretty much. So when you look at this answer to this question, that's pretty much what I've said there. It's not exclusively those answers, there's other answers that you can go along with it as well, kind of giving it a minimalist look to the page, etc. But those are the two most common ones and easy to kind of write off straight away. Colour, you can see this magazine's about sunglasses, so for part 2 here, it's about sunglasses, so mostly worn in summertime when it's warm. And the yellow colour gives the impression of warmth and sunniness. You can see it's reflected in the lady's yellow sunglasses. Blue's been used here in this lady's sunglasses because blue is a contrasting colour to yellow, and that means that it's a good kind of contrast in the magazine article as well. So again, using the kind of warm yellow colour for connotations of summer, etc. And you can see the answer right there regarding that. For the next ones, typeface. Now, if you're not too sure about typeface, have a look at the typography task and have a wee go at that first. But you can see there's a lot of different sort of fonts being used here. There's about 3 different ones on the left hand side alone. It's usually best just to kind of stick to 1 or 2 different sort of fonts as well in a magazine article, but they've kind of pushed the boat out. There's a mix between formal and informal fonts, so this is more, what to wear is more informal. You can say it's maybe going to be in a ladies magazine, so that's more likely to be more of a kind of feminine font. Also there's a link between serif, which is the font here with the wee flicks on it, and sans serif, which is the kind of ones, the fab here with no kind of very sort of basic and plain text. So for that one, this contrasting creates visual interest for the reader, being able to look at these 2 different ones here, or 3 different ones, sort of mixing the fonts between formal and informal. However, we used proportion for 1B. Well, looking at proportion here, you can look at it, that the fab here is enlarged so that your eyes are drawn to it, creating interest for the reader. Looking at it, this is balanced against the other side here with your magazine article, where you've got the columns are all kind of evenly sort of sized, sort of balancing that out. You can see as well that the triangles here are quite evenly sized out proportion wise. There's not one that's huge. I know that one looks bigger, but they're pretty much similar size here. It's probably a proportion. The image of the ladies here have been cropped quite close, in proportion with each other as well. Probably just so that to highlight the sunglasses in the pictures there. So looking at that, you can see there that it's the same kind of what I've just kind of discussed there. It's obviously there to create consistency and balance in the article as well for these areas here. And there's 4 points here if you read through it, and it's a 4-mark question. So the last bits, how's a designer create depth? Well, you've got a few different areas here. Depths usually, not usually, but part of sometimes depth can be created by using a drop shadow. There's one here. There's one here. There's also depth, you could say, in this fab text here with the image inside it, and it's going back to this whatever field or whatever she's on. There's also depth on this 2D picture here. There's a 2D picture of this lady's sunglasses, but within that, if you zoomed in here, you'd see the street that is reflected in her sunglasses, so giving it an element of depth beyond the 2D image. So there's quite a few elements, mostly, like I say, drop shadow to begin with, and I've just put that in as, you know, you can have various drop shadows in there, and there you go. So for D, last one, how's a graphic designer use line to enhance the layout? Now, if you look at this, you've got a line that separates the two sides of the magazine article. You've got this, most important one is what to wear. It's got the line here, but what happens is the line goes down diagonally into the body of the text, which will draw the reader's eye across and let them read more about the article. The line also creates an element of shape or contrast in shape. So you can see this is creating the triangles, and that's in contrast with the kind of rectangular page layout. Okay, so it's contrast, the line's creating contrast in shapes, and also the line is splitting off the areas of white space there, well, most predominantly there and there, splitting off the areas of white space that allows the reader to rest their eyes. So it's used in a few different kind of instances there, line, so it's quite important. It's been used quite cleverly to kind of highlight certain things and to split up the page. Okay, so that's a brief run through of a design principle question. Okay, this is worth about 20 to 30 marks in the overall final exam, so it's worthwhile getting your head around it and getting it's an easy one to get quite good at as well, because it's your interpretation of the magazine or the poster layout, and usually there's quite a few different answers to each question, so as long as you're kind of getting there, you'll pick up marks. So it's always good. This and desktop publishing ones are the kind of the ones to really get into and get good marks in. So it's worth doing. The questions that are laid out are worth having a go at and tackling to kind of develop your skills and being able to kind of look at these articles and sort of pick them apart. Okay, so thanks for watching and listening, and stay safe.